dialed in
to Bucks and Brews, you might hear something
you can use.
like tips on your cash or tips on the suds.
You're gonna want to
The
use
smarts of these stuff.
because they know the brews.
And they know the Bucks, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks.
So listen up, because shit's not funny.
And save yourself some
Beer money. Bucks
and brews.
Bucks and
Bucks
and
brews.
brews.
Bucks and Brews.
Welcome back to Bucks and Brews. So we got a lot of interesting news, Nick.
We do.
You had an interesting night last night.
I did.
I want to hear all about that, but first, new open.
So, guys, thanks so much for listening to us. As always, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. We appreciate everything you guys do for us, and we hope that you appreciate what we do for you.
What are you drinking, my friend?
I am drinking the tried and the true, always the blue Bud Light.
Nice.
What about you, my friend?
Well, you know, I'm experiencing dry January.
Yeah, how's that going?
And I've already had a fucking week. So from Odd Side Ales, I'm drinking after dinner mint, which is not non-alcoholic because fuck it, I don't care.
Cause fuck it. So, yeah, I'm coaching bowling, right?
I do know that, yes.
I had a kid look at me and, oh, coach, I gotta start that Roth IRA question mark. And I was like, yes,
You
you
were
do.
so happy.
I was, but I was like, but I'm so happy, but I also like, I'm very serious with these kids. I'm like, look,
Can I interrupt you?
yeah,
I know the beard is tucked.
yeah.
It looks really good like that.
Oh no, it's got to be fully out.
I mean, it looks really good tucked like that. I mean,
Say-
you look distinguished.
Yeah.
What I want to say.
Okay.
You look just like you're an important person I should listen to.
As you guys can't see it behind the microphone, yes, it just goes all the way down to the belly button.
So, anyways,
no,
that's IRA.
Yeah, and I was like, we had talked about it a few weeks ago, type of a thing, and I gave him, hey, you should get this started, do it, before the new year, things like that, because you can do it each year.
Yeah.
And he's like, do I, and I gave him all this, and I was like, well, are you good with technology? You can do it online, right? Like, and he goes, I was like, or go build a relationship with a banker. Like, don't be scared. Like, they're the people that are going to give you your money for the rest of your life, right? Like, and he's like, huh? And I was like, that's how I got to where I am in life, right? And so, we really want to focus on some pops and pennies. So, and honestly, guys, we just need a little bit of help from you.
Yeah, we need to know what people want to know about.
Yeah, more episodes and things. So that's just my call to help from you people is tell us what you want kids to learn about and things that you wish that you learned about younger.
Absolutely.
So
Some of our best pops and pennies are from listener questions.
that's exactly it.
I mean, I remember the one we were asked about how do stores get merchandise.
Yeah.
That I thought that was great.
Well, and the funny thing is, you and I have the passion for, the youth and things like that. And I don't really pregame for much of these episodes.
Not
To
much.
say, but pops and pennies, dude, like I put in a lot of time and effort, and I'm just like,
we looked into what we want to talk about.
So because we know we have to keep it to 10 minutes, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, what's the very specific things that we can do on this?
Yeah, we can't sit there and word vomit like we do on Bucks and Brews.
So, I'm sorry you're having a shitty week, man. Cheers. It's excellent to see you.
Thank you, my friend. It's good to see you too. We'll get into my shitty week, but I want to know about last night. So something happened.
No,
What
that's
do you
the weird,
know?
that's the weird thing.
Nothing happened. You just said, fuck it, I'm going to do this.
Okay, so
Did you
Me-
go to the board meeting?
no,
Oh, okay.
say me screwing around on Facebook, right?
Okay.
And I found out. So basically, in one of the groups or whatever, it says, I gotta find this real quick. Sorry, just so that way we should have been prepared before we went on air, right?
But we never really prepare all that much. We like to shoot from the cuff.
Yeah. So no joke. Who wants to run for Jenison School Board? That's all I read, and I just
you're like,
said
Me.
like capital letters me,
Of course you did.
right? Because I'm like, yeah, I do. Like it just hit me. I was like, yes, I do. Like I think there's so much that can be changed. And that kind of blew up into do it, and here's the link and all this and that. And so it opened up this morning. I tried doing it like right at 9 a.m. Had to do some emails, whatever. Got my approval to get in, and I've now put my application in to run for the school board.
This is different though, because this is not even like a special election. This isn't part of the general
That's
election.
correct.
You're replacing somebody that's stepping down before their term ends.
Yep. I say
So that is not a position that gets voted on.
It does get voted on in theory, and I can walk over through that real quick.
Please.
So, just real quick, from this person's understanding, okay, this was kind of a person that more or less, like once I said me, they were like, "You gotta go." I was like, "Oh man." All right. My understanding from the meeting, this person would be appointed until November election.
Mhm.
The rest of Craig's 2 years,
Okay.
which would go till
Yep.
November, would be on the November election ballot.
Okay.
Okay. This means my area will have 3 positions on the ballot. That's not important, right? The people. But so from my full understanding of what's happening is somebody is stepping down.
Mhm.
Okay. It kind of goes into a little bit. The person's been on the board for 34 years, they think, and feels the district's in good hands with the new superintendent.
And you
And
figure they've been around 34 years. They probably started doing this in their, let's say, early 30s.
yeah,
So now they're in their mid 60s.
right.
It might just be time.
Yep, exactly. Time, and you're devoted at least once a month, kind of a thing, to like something. And boards take up a lot of time. People don't realize that.
They do.
And I've been to these meetings. We talked about it in one of the episodes, and it's like, holy shit, it's been like you just get so long into it.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, how I interpreted what I read was between now and November, somebody is getting a position. From what I was told is applications are open today, I heard until the 26th, because they have 30 days to fill this spot. Okay. Today is currently the 16th. So they have 10 days to apply. And then when I submitted my application, or it said, not everybody will be contacted for an interview, right? Just select people. So there's a chance I don't even get selected to be on this. And then from there, the board has to vote for a person to fill that position until November comes up. Okay. And then in November, as I said, it goes back to apparently there's going to be, 3 people are running out of term, right? So their terms are going to be up, their limit is hit, and then we can go up for election for that. So currently what I'm running for is to fill from now until November.
Mhm.
Well, and I guess it'd be the year because
And,
November you get
and
elected.
would you continue to run for that seat though?
Correct.
Okay.
After that, whoever gets that automatically gets put on the ballot for the next seat, right? To fill that seat fully for the next 6 years or whatever it is. So that's going to be my goal, is to, hey, get in now and then quote unquote run again. I haven't decided if I don't get an interview, you know me, I'm an asshole.
Yep.
I'm gonna double down.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna put myself on the ballot.
Yeah.
If I get an interview and I don't get it, then we'll see how I feel
If you feel like it was
want to run.
If it was an honest thing where they went with a better candidate, you might be like, hey, that's a good candidate, great.
Excellent work, right? Good.
But if you think they went with somebody that's not a great candidate, you may be like, hey, I'm going for that.
Yeah, 100%, right? And it's really weird. So this group, the group that I'm in, doesn't actually know like the real Nick.
Mhm.
Let's just say that, right?
They think because, let me guess, I'm gonna just talk. They think because you're pro LGBTQ that you're very liberal.
Correct.
And there are many things you're very liberal on,
Correct.
but there are other things you're quite conservative on.
Very much.
And they think you're going to come in there, rainbow hat wearing, workers' rights, card carrying liberal.
Yeah.
But you're, as we said last week, very much a moderate.
Very much, right? And that's the thing with school board, and that's one thing that stuck out to me, especially like school boards. You're not supposed to be affiliated with a party, type of a thing.
But they've become so
very much they have
partisan in the last 20-25 years.
Yep. And that's one thing I am about, right? Like, and that, it said, hey, one of the questions was, what separates you? And I said, look, I can separate myself from laws and feelings, right? Rules and feelings. My feeling is something doesn't mean that's what it is, right? And I say this to people all the time. I was like, you can fucking hate it all you want, but the fact is that's how it goes, right? Life sucks sometimes because it's not how you want it, but this is what it is, right? And and the school board, like, so I get to, okay, so Jennison is where it is, right? And the field house. So like, I wasn't part of it, but I will tell you, okay, we have 80 yards in our field house. Okay.
No.
Why are we not doing an extra 20 yards? Okay. Why do we not have a full indoor stadium type of a thing that we could run so much more? I understand that we have the greatest band that's ever existed in history in the state of Michigan, right? What is 5 or 7 national or state titles and stuff like that. But I'd like to be part of that. Also, like, I'm going to bring experience and like, hey, what should we build? What should we not build? Like, should we add these things, right? And hopefully I learn the bigger side of things, right? Like, hey, this costs so much money. This is how we have, I can't just go hire Joe Schmo contractor. I have to hire bigger, but like, but hey, can I bring my experience in this to do expansions in buildings and things like that? So I'm really looking forward to that. Oh, excuse me. So, I think there's a lot of good that I'll learn from it.
I'm trying to pull a guest that has actually done this.
Yeah.
But they haven't been on a school board in so long that they wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And I said, listen, I don't need to know about your school board experience. I need to know about you filling in for somebody.
Yep.
Because that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So we're gonna see, and maybe he'll come and maybe he won't. I don't know, but we'll try.
No, and from my understanding, like the quick readings that I've done, I'm only allowed to raise and spend $1,000
Okay.
for campaigning. Okay. And I say I'll either raise it or I'll just spend it myself, put the Facebook things out there type of thing. But again, because of who I am, I'm not a party affiliate, right? Like I am not pro your damn decision, right? I'm pro what I feel is best for these children. We can all agree. I mean, normally when we're on the podcast, I'm the most undereducated person.
Let me ask you some leading questions when it comes to kids.
Yeah.
Gay kids.
Yeah. What about them?
Do you feel they should have the same rights as straight kids?
Exactly. Everybody deserves that right. And that's one thing we're going to get into in this episode.
Kids that, are not white, same rights as white people.
Same rights. It's America.
Books.
Books.
Do you believe they should be banned?
I do believe that there are some books that should be banned.
What books?
Hustler, Playboy.
So pornographic material.
That is correct.
You know what I would ban?
The Holy Bible.
I absolutely
say.
Any religious book I would ban.
See, and I'm not a fan of that. I think that all of them should be there.
I think there's a time and place for holy books. It's not in a public school.
The problem is who I am, right? Separation of church and state. And I'm not afraid to admit, like, I will give you this. Like, okay, if because I live in like the most Christian, I mean, dude, when I tell you this, people are saying
Christian.
But like, there's a church. I mean, I have 2. Okay, so I have 2 roads that I can get to my house, and there's 3 churches on. Like, there's one on each corner.
Trust me, I know. I live in the same type of area.
But okay, so in my house, within, I want to narrow it down to like an 1/8 of a mile. Okay, like an 1/8 of a mile. I promise you, there's 9 churches. Okay, like this isn't being crazy. It's
no, there are
like 9, right? So
I passed 2 on my way here.
Right. And I don't think that people understand the difference of separation of church and state. But I think that religion, and we've talked about it, like, if you're going to follow religion because it makes you a better person, you're going to do whatever. But I don't like to take material from people. So here, going back to the Bible, if you're going to offer the Bible, I'm going to offer the Quran, I'm going to offer the Torah, I'm going to offer, right? Like, I think everything needs to have accessible information, right? That's how I view things. Not just one, all, right? You can learn about anything. Say, I can't even think of a dog, right? I'm not going to just do, like, I would never ban a pit bull book, right? But allow Huskies and Pomeranian, Husky would be a bad breed too, right? But like, I'm not just going to do Shih Tzus and Lhasa Apsos, and I'm not a huge dog person, but like, right? But like, I'm not going to do the mega breeds and keep them out. Like, no, go learn everything about it. Go do all that. So that's who I am as a person. So, what are the leading questions?
I mean, that's basically it. I kind of want to know what your limitations are. And of course, when so a big thing, you're in Ottawa County.
I am.
So a huge thing in Ottawa right now is Ottawa Impact, and they're very MAGA, and they want to really, they say it's about freedom of choice, but they really want to limit what kids have access to.
Correct.
Like no books about gay people and no books about acceptance and none of that shit.
Yep.
And that's not something you mesh with.
No, correct. It's not something I support in any way, shape, or form. You know, I think that some of the things that they're talking about, right? We talked about on the one episode that I went to the board meeting. These people are so out of whack, and you're going to quote made up stories versus what's actually in a book. Now I have a problem.
This is in the book,
100%, right? If you
and then they read all of these things that are in the book, and then they go, "This might be in the book. It's not actually, but it might be."
Right.
And you're like, "Wait a minute."
Yep. I'm saying, and you know, I'm I'm a factual kind of a person, right? And that's who I am, is like, hey, show me the facts, show me the proof, and make an educated decision of
well, and I think, you know, I think those are great things. And I know we're going to hopefully talk next week to our good friend Joe Spalding.
I'm hoping,
because you have questions for him specifically. And I mean, if we can get this other guest on, we'll delve into that some more tonight.
Yep.
I mean, you know me, I always think it's great if somebody gets involved.
Yep.
You know, like I said, the DNC sent me a message, hey, do you want to run? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not electable.
Guys, never in my life did I ever imagine I would say the words.
Do you think you're electable?
No.
God, I would agree.
No.
Like, I really would want to run. No. But I'm not electable because I'm not going to do the things that can get you elected. Mike and I were talking today, the eye candy.
Yeah.
And he goes, probably the person that we know that is the most electable is Jim, but you would have to really kind of temper what Jim says. I'm like, honestly, his wife Wendy is the most electable because she can walk that line of not saying the shit that we want to say. He goes, I mean, in all honesty, if you and Jim were on my side, I could run and I would absolutely be electable because I won't say stupid shit like you two would doing. He's right. He wouldn't. I would.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not that I would say stupid shit. It's that I would say what's on my mind and many people wouldn't like it.
Right. And trust me, you know, there's a chance that my wife, you know, I told her, I was like, there's a chance I'll get kicked off the board. And she goes, yeah, you'll feel like crap about that. And I was like, yeah, but
will you?
But if I did the right thing and I knew I stood up for myself and did what I need, then I don't care. Right.
I got fired from coaching.
Right.
I don't feel bad about getting fired from coaching. I feel bad about leaving those kids. I'm angry about the reason I was given.
Right.
I don't feel bad about getting fired.
You know, so this is what I was looking up. So, all right, we believe in a strong tradition of excellence and service through the Wildcat way. Trust, honesty, integrity, empathy, respect, and responsibility.
Okay.
All things I believe in, all things I agree in. Now we're going to teach them different ways, right? But when you're talking about respect and integrity, right? I come on. You know, I've never once had anybody tell me I don't have integrity. Right? Like,
let me ask this though. There was an incident last year at a basketball game.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this?
A little bit.
Wyoming was there to play, and supposedly there's some racist things said by the Jenison student body. And it really wasn't handled in any way. It was just kind of pushed aside.
Correct.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I'll say, and you know, I think everything needs to be handled. Now, I watched the video, right? And I don't think that it was what it was portrayed to be, right? I didn't see this hint of racism that was there, kind of a thing. You know, it's a basketball game. Everybody's gonna hoop and holler when anybody's shooting a free throw, right? Like that's what you do.
And possibly say dumb shit.
Right. And yeah, exactly, you know, and it wasn't like derogatory things were said, right? It was, you know, somebody to me, it was, you know, hey, you can go on one side and say, hey, this person felt it, right? And I can't control your feelings, right? And on my side, hey, we could not do that.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Supposedly, because I have watched the video, and yeah, you can draw correlations anyway.
Correct.
Supposedly they were making monkey noises
while
a student of color was shooting, which again, they could just be making stupid noises.
Just loud noises.
I don't know what they were doing specific. I don't know what their intent was. And again, I'm partially a person of color here, so
Right.
I'm not defending anybody.
Right.
But I think it's a hard line to draw of they were being overtly racist.
Right.
Could it have had a hint of racism? Sure. But do we know the real intent? Possibly not.
Right. And I try to err on the side of,
Caution.
and caution, and the fact that, like, right, I think that people are generally decent, especially kids, right? Generally decent. The parents are the ones that suck, right? But my job is to again, right, make these kids, right, understand that trust, right? You have to be trusted and you have to be trusting, right? You have to be honest, right? Honest is going to get you somewhere. Integrity, hold yourself to the highest. I mean, I teach my kids, right? I just had this conversation because one girl was going through some stuff today, and she's like this, and I was like, look, you can't handle, you can't control what other people do. You could just hold yourself to the highest standard, right? And she's like, huh? And I was like, no, like that's how it is. Like, hold yourself to this spot and make yourself be around the right people. Empathy, right, is something that, especially in today's society, is so much more coming through. It's something I'm learning because I wasn't really an empathetic. Like, I drink when I get sad and all that, and like I feel pain for other people, but right, like to understand what some of these kids are going, right? It goes empathy with this person, with this kid. If he felt that way, like, I feel horrible for him, right? Nobody should ever be made to feel that way. I just had this conversation with somebody. I mean, it's only been 70 years, right? Maybe less, since the first black and white school happened, right?
Yeah, Ruby Bridges.
Yeah, your parents and my grandparents, right, like, lived through this kind of a thing. That's just insane to me, right? Respect. Sure, there's times I'm not respectful and don't see, but like, I think that's the number one most important thing.
Let me ask
right?
you something though, because I like to go on respect here.
Yeah.
Do you treat people always with respect, or do you treat them accordingly?
I always treat people with respect in the beginning. We'll never walk into a place and not respect somebody.
Okay, but again,
then it becomes.
Do you treat them accordingly?
Once, yes. Let's say,
because again, I'm the same way.
Yep.
When I meet somebody, I'm very respectful until they're treating me in a way that I'm going to treat them the same way.
Correct.
And that's just, I don't know if that's a man thing.
Well, I don't know, because, okay, so my brother and I are joining a different bowling team in the next half of the thing. And this lady's like, hey, do you guys want to join us? And we're like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then she comes up and she's like, well, I'm gonna be the team captain and I'm gonna do this. And I was like, excuse me? And I was like, you're gonna do, like, wait, where did you grab this nutsack and tell me what you're gonna do? Like,
right.
You can have an educated conversation about that's not respectful to tell me that you're doing something.
We're a
right?
team.
Correct.
I'm not coming in to just fill in.
Right. And that's exactly, and my wife didn't get it. She's like,
let me ask you something though.
Yeah.
Let's say I call you up and I'm like, hey, Nick, I need a bowler on Tuesday, but I only need you like one Tuesday a month.
Yeah.
And I tell you how it's going. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're filling in.
I'm not a team.
Right.
Right. But when we're a team,
and if I call you up and say, Nick, I need you every Tuesday, but it's my way or the highway.
Right. And I choose if I want to have it your way or
the highway.
Right. I see ya. And I teach trust me, I teach my kids on the bowling team very much. You will be respectful. You will be, no matter what, we win or we will lose with dignity and we will lose with integrity, right? You will shake hands no matter what happens, right?
You want to be pissed off about it. We can be pissed off after everything's done.
Correct. But no matter what, you will respect the place, you will respect the people around you, and you will respect yourself, right? I think self-respect is something that a lot of these kids have gone away from, right? It's funny because today I practiced my patience even more. I had a kid who I was like, all right, hey, you can do this. No, I just can't. I can't do this. And I was like, no, you can. Like, and no, I shouldn't be doing this. And I was like, all right. So like, I got to the point where I was like, I told you what to do. Like, why are you not doing it? And it was like, okay, you just want somebody to talk to. Hey, all right, what's going on? Right. Like, I don't care about that. Like, at this point, like, let's have a conversation. Right. And then you'll go do what I need, kind of a thing. But you need me for something else without telling me you need me for something else. And now it took me 2 seconds to understand that you really just had something to tell me. Right. And, these kids, they just need to learn to respect themselves.
I think I told this story before, but one of my pitchers, I hated her.
So,
And she hated me.
Mhm.
And her freshman year, we were trying to find ways to coexist. And it wasn't easy because I hated her and she hated me.
Yep.
And I talked to her after the season ended, like after I tried to die. And we had a conversation, and I'm like, towards the end of the year, I had said something to her, and she's like, I need you to call my changeup more. And I said, yeah, I have a problem because when I call it, you throw it like shit the first couple of innings. And she goes, right. Because I don't get good at it until I've thrown it 10, 15, 20 times.
Gotcha.
And when I've thrown it 15 times, all of a sudden it just starts to work.
Mhm.
So I just need you to call it. Find time to call it where it doesn't matter.
Right.
So that when it does matter, I can throw it for a strike. And I went, okay.
That makes sense.
And I started to do that. And that was when we were going into the Kelvin game. And we beat Kelvin 1-0. And you know, because you coached with me for a year.
Yeah.
The one team I wanted to beat more than anybody was always Kelvin, because they just would bury us and treat us like shit. And it was awful.
Yep.
And this kid dominated the entire day. And I called so many changeups in the first, 12 were awful. And then all of a sudden she's throwing it and they're swinging when it's not even halfway home.
Yep.
It's just awesome. And I talked to her and I'm like, listen, I'm glad you told me. And I'm glad you trusted me. She goes, well, my mom pulled me aside and she goes, you're stuck with this guy. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So you have two options. You can fight him all the time, or you can trust him. And if you trust him, he might trust you back.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you trusted me by talking to me. And you told me what you needed. And because you were willing to do that, I trusted you that if I gave you what you said you needed, you would give me what I need.
Yep.
I said, and honestly, I couldn't have asked for you to throw a better game than what you did. And from that point on, I didn't hate her anymore and she didn't hate me. And we had a synergy on how to go about attacking a game.
Yep.
I remember the next year we were down in Battle Creek for a tournament and the state ranked teams. And I called her two-seam fastball 98% of the time.
Yeah.
And there was a game we played Mendon. And I think they were ranked like 4th or 5th in Division 4 at the time. And she absolutely dominated them. She dominated the entire tournament until she ran out of gas in game 3. And we ended up losing by a couple of runs.
Yeah.
But she was so good because by that point, her and I had such trust in each other that if I said it, she would do it. And she would do it in a way that it's exactly what I wanted.
Yep.
And she's going to be a senior this year.
Yeah.
And my two pitchers are going to be seniors, and I might just ride out into the sunset with them because I love them so much. And again, you talk about it and you get these kids, and if they can trust you and you can trust them, it just gives you a situation where it's perfect.
Mhm.
They don't need to be great. They just need to be good enough.
Yep.
And as a coach, we know how to get good enough.
Yep. Let's see. And that's that's what we look for in these kids. To say, I tell my kids all the time, I was like, look, you can do what you want, but if you trust me, it's gonna do a heck of a lot better, right? And so I make my kids do ball changes just to prove to them they're wrong.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, all the time. Yeah, shouldn't have done that. I say, just give me one more shot. Fine. All right, go through it to the nose. I don't care. Say, let me know how it works out for you. Right.
Every pitcher of mine that throws a pitch that I call,
Yeah.
if it ends up, 20 feet over the fence,
Yeah.
that's my fault.
Right.
I called that pitch. It's not their fault. And I've never made them think it was because, again, I'm the one that said we need this pitch in this situation. I called 3 changeups last year against a kid. She watched the first 2 go by and she hit the third one 220 feet.
Say, that's a you problem.
When I called it, Chris was pissed. My catcher was pissed. My pitcher was pissed. Nobody shook me off.
Yeah.
They just threw it. And she hit a fucking moonshot.
Yeah.
I called timeout and I went out there and said, yeah, that's my fault. I did that.
That's my bad. Yeah. Well, it's I this past match that we had.
Mhm.
So I'm bowling on a house shot.
Yeah.
Which is, for people that don't know, it's an easy shot, right? You're supposed to just be able to score from different places.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, we're bowling on house, and that's what we're going to bowl on, because I want my kids to have the higher average and be able to go into get recognition for being high average. And most of my kids got upset with me. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And I was like, because I want you guys to get recognition and get these things. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. We'd rather, we're going to win because we're good, not because we're taking this way. And I was like, okay, let's take a vote, right? Like, what do you want to bowl? Like, just know that you probably won't average and get Mr. Bowler. Like, there's awards that you can get. And I was like, okay. And they're like, yep, that's fine. I was like, all right. Because to me, all that matters is like the state, right? Like, we're going to state, we're going to win state. Everything else I can care less about. So it was just frustrating that, and I told him, I was like, hey, if we lose it, it's on me. It's 100% on me, because I didn't realize that you guys didn't want to do that, right? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, right, it just popped up and I said yes, I'm gonna go for this.
Well, and I obviously will be along for the journey, because
Yeah.
Bucks and Brews family and all. And
I will say, you mentioned Ottawa Impact.
yes,
And I was having this conversation with somebody earlier. Okay. And my area is, and we kind of talked about this off air real quick about what America is great for and stuff like that. We didn't talk about that. We just said, you're going to ask the question.
I am.
But I will tell you, my area is what America is in my eyes currently. Okay. So we have a thing called Ottawa Impact, a group. It's not a thing, it's a group. It is a group of people who are, let's just call it what it is. They're diehard Republicans that are so far out there.
Are they diehard Republicans or are they diehard Trumpers?
I don't know the answer to that because I don't talk to everybody, but like, I mean, these are, I wouldn't say Republicans because they're not me, right? Like,
You're not a Republican either.
Right.
You're very much an independent.
Very much.
But they're so, I can't say they're Republican, but I also can't say they're Trumpers. They're kind of in the middle of the two, but they're so extreme.
These are some extremist people on the Republican side. Okay. But the problem is then what was created was the Ottawa Jacks.
Okay.
Right? Which is the complete opposite. Okay. This is your Democrats beyond Democrats, like the extreme. And granted, some of the people aren't, and honestly, people I run into are extremes. Like one lady, she's in politics and stuff like that, like an extremist, right? And I even told her point blank to her face, I was like, you're barking up the wrong tree. My wife, on the other hand, go ahead and talk to her. But me, we're not talking because you're going to change your perspective of who I am. What you see here is what I believe for this. Everything else that's going to come out of your mouth, I guarantee we're not going to agree on, right? Like, so just understand that. And she's like, huh? And I was like, again, I support this factor. No, like, and so she's like, oh, and I was like, yeah, again, go talk to my wife. Like she follows more of your value aspect.
Well, and again, let's talk about the issues.
Yeah.
Between liberals and conservatives. So liberals, very pro-union.
Very pro-union.
Are you pro-union?
I'm getting there.
But very much in the middle.
There's a time and place for it.
You're left of center.
I don't know.
Well, you said there's a time and place for it, so I would assume you're left of center, because center would be sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, I said I'd say center.
So you're center, okay?
But, I mean, yeah, I'm center.
Abortion.
Again, pro-union, and if you try to go into break room therapy and make a union, I'm not pro. Now,
for small business, maybe not.
Fucking
for large business, absolutely.
Amazon, probably pro-union in that sense, right?
Yeah.
Because
again, some people have to be forced into treating their employees well.
Correct. Right. Exactly. Like okay. So gosh, I wish. All right. So for the rest of the U.S., sorry, everybody knows of Walmart. Okay.
I'm gonna time out for a second before you get on that. By the way, you're going to convince me later why the U.S. is a great country.
I will.
And I'm going to say this right now because this is part of that conversation.
Yeah. So, okay. So Walmart.
Yeah.
as much as I love Sam Walton, okay, and this is
Because in theory, Sam Walton, good guy.
right, came in, did the things
Mhm.
he reinvented business in itself and
Mhm.
creating things and ideas, and that I love, right? The idea that somebody can go just do this and create something that's amazing, excellent work.
Mhm.
Now, to have the most amount of employees that are on welfare and subsidized and all that, it's absolute trash.
Yeah.
Now, again, for the rest of the US, Meyer, if you're in the Midwest, they are a union company. Okay.
I have issues with Meyer
Me too.
because Fred Meyer always said if we're running a sale, you get the sale price.
Mhm.
So if we're running 2 for $3, but the normal price is $3.50, and you buy one, it's $1.50.
Now they're not doing that.
They're not doing that anymore because those fucking kids or grandkids, whoever's running that company, has said, "Fuck the people.
Mhm.
If you don't buy two, you're paying $3.50,"
That is correct.
which is horse shit.
I say, and actually, Fat Nick made a pimp decision the other day. So, old school terms for you young kids.
Yeah.
We were, might have been cheese. It's $2.29 a block, or they were 3 for $6. And my wife goes, "We get cheese." And I've never once in my life said, "No, no, get 3 blocks of cheese." And I said, "You know what? We're not going to miss that 29 cents. Just buy it."
Yeah.
And she bought 1 block of cheese. And I said, I walked out. I bought a bag of pretzels. Again, I think it was
I think they were 2 for $5.
okay, or $3 a piece. Right.
Yeah.
And so I bought $3.
Yeah.
And I did not do the 2 for $5. Granted, I should have because they all got freaking eaten and I didn't realize they were going to. But the fact is
I
like,
got pretzels. That's how I know.
right.
Because I wanted a certain pretzel. And I looked at my wife. I go, "You like those butter braids, don't you?" And she goes, "I really do." And I went, "All right, then we'll get 2.
Yep, which is fine. But like I am getting to the point where it's like, hey, I don't, granted, my beef jerky, don't get me wrong, when those okay, those piss me off.
You got my picture, right? I sent you a picture of beef jerky. It was a good price.
I did not get it.
That's at Aldi.
Oh, I did get that one, yes. So, but okay, so beef jerky, like the 1 ounce or 2
Yeah.
ounce packs, they're $4.50 a piece around here. Maybe $4.59. And they run on special for like 2 for $5 or 2 for $6. I always buy 2. Right.
Well, you're gonna eat them.
Well, that I'm gonna eat them, but also like when I'm saving $3, yes, I'm going to get the extra one for $1. Again, it goes back to McDonald's, right? It's a $2.39 for a hamburger. You can get 2 for $3. Well, yeah, I'm gonna spend 70 cents. I'm gonna get the burger. And I should start giving it to the homeless, but no, I haven't had McDonald's in God knows how long. But so
$3.49 for 7.5 ounces.
yeah, that's not bad.
I didn't think so either. I'm like, oh, I gotta send this to Nick. $2.89 if it's not organic.
Organic, right?
We went to Aldi the other day because we needed to save some money.
Yep. And so anyway, back to Meyer, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have pensions for their employees.
They do.
They have benefits. They have a
Like you said, union job.
right, it's a union. So and then you guys, Meyer is going to be like a family fair. Family Fair has never had a bad reputation for not taking care of people. They pay their drivers well. They actually Family Fair headquarters is literally 2 minutes down the road.
For those of you that are not in Michigan, the Spartan store.
Spartan. That's what
Spartan
I meant.
Nash.
Yep, Spartan Nash. So they're not a Walmart. They're not a Meyer.
Other areas of the country, it would be comparable to
Kroger,
Kroger
yeah.
or Eagle or Cub Foods.
Yeah, right. And so all of these things that are holding and
Dixie.
yeah, say no, you're old. But
I've never been at a Winn-Dixie. I just know that.
yeah, and so but so a union for Walmart needs to be a thing.
Yeah, it does.
Because they are literally the epitome of why a union was made.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you ask me the union question, there's a time and place for it, right?
Correct.
Now the Starbucks, that one's tough for me.
Why?
Because there's some that are, because the problem is some of them are locally owned by a person like you and me who
Again, you make that decision.
you do.
You can sit there and say, I'm going to buy into Starbucks or I'm going to buy ABC coffee.
Yep. But ABC Coffee doesn't have the name and things like that.
It doesn't. You're right.
But-
you have to build that. But
But
it's the same way we've had to build break room therapy.
but you're not making Starbucks money.
I understand you're not making Starbucks money. If you want to make Starbucks money, these are the things you have to abide by.
But I'm saying so from here. Okay, so Baldwin, Michigan.
Mhm.
Okay. The population is 1,000. right? I don't see having Starbucks be that. I mean, you're offering an employment for, right? If ABC Coffee was there, it wouldn't sell as much, but like you're going to get a little extra bucks for a Starbucks, and people are going to be generally happier to have that name brand thing, because I don't think that outside places should have, that type of a thing.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
You have the choice between going to dinner at Chili's or going to dinner at Dave's steak
Burger Shack, yeah.
Yeah, Dave's Burger Shack. Whatever the name of it.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
So 99% of the time, 95% of the time, I am going to Dave's Burger Shack.
Why?
My wife and I love to go to like good tasting food, flavor, and we like to support local small town things.
How many people are like you that want to support local and
Everybody
small town
says they are, but nobody does it.
See, I do it all the time.
Right. But like,
And the people I associate with does it all the time. You have said before, you are an amalgamation of what? The three people you associate
the
the most?
5 people.
5 people. Okay.
Yep.
So the 5 people I associate most are you, Mikey, and Mike.
Yep.
And probably Jim and we'll just say Wendy, because why the fuck not?
Yep.
All of them support local.
But they're still, but you're not shopping at, gosh, there's not even local grocery stores anymore, is
There's
there?
not.
Right.
Horrocks. I shop at Horrocks all the time.
Right. But you're not buying all your groceries there.
I buy probably 85% of my groceries there. You know what I don't buy there is the stuff they don't have.
Sure.
So like, I'm not buying macaroni and cheese there. They have macaroni and cheese, but it's like Annie's or it's expensive. And
Yeah, that's my point though.
I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I like Kraft. It's horrible, but I love it.
Yeah. But the idea is like, you just said it yourself. You shopped at Aldi's to save a little bit of money.
I did.
And so, the local thing, I shop at Ivan Rest Hardware, Godwin Plumbing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And a big shout out to oh my gosh, what's the one on Union there?
I don't
anyway, it's Burton Hardware. Anyway, so I normally just pick the thing that's closest to me, but for all of my stuff that isn't, none of those places have cabinets, countertops, flooring, anything like that. So then I go to my big box store, but like most of my stuff is bought from my what I'm gonna call penny things, right? To describe this to people, like I buy all my screws and nails from them. Which everybody's like, oh, how often do you use them? A shit ton. I buy my smoke detectors from them, unless I did buy from Menards, but
and I know you will buy if there's a good deal.
Yeah.
Like let's say on locks.
Yeah.
You'll go to Menards and buy those if there's a good deal.
Don't get me wrong, I just went to Home Depot yesterday and they were $6 for a handle and a deadbolt, and I bought all 4 of them.
Correct. Because again, we are looking to save money when we can.
Correct.
I will not buy from a big box store something that I could buy from a smaller store unless it's something I would never buy from a smaller store. Like I hate Walmart, but I always get my toilet paper from Walmart. What?
Nothing. Sorry. I have a gift for you that's sitting at home that I've had to give for you. Like this happens every fucking year.
Time.
Like
it's fine.
We've had it for a month and a half now, and it's sitting on my computer because I was like, I have to bring these to David, and I walked out of the house today and didn't bring you your gift.
But I will buy my toilet paper from Walmart.
Is it that much cheaper?
It's like $3 cheaper.
I wouldn't. I've bought toilet paper, but I always buy it from mall.
We're talking 12 months out of the year. 3 times 12 was what, 36?
Yeah.
So I'm saving $36 a year.
Okay. I go to Costco now, and I don't buy Costco toilet paper. Fuck Costco. People that use Costco toilet paper, like you hate your bodies.
It doesn't fit on the roll for one.
They do sell Charmin, and so I buy the large Charmin. Or when Charmin goes on sale at Meijer, my wife gets pissed because if you spend $30 or $50, whatever it is, you get $10 off or $25 off. It's usually good sales.
Yeah.
And so Nick shows up home with 100 fucking rolls of toilet paper. And I was like, what are you do with this? And I was like, you're not going to use it. Right. Like, and then she'll be like, oh, we need toilet paper. I'm like, exactly. Shut up. Like, but I am a picky guy. Okay. Things.
I only use Charmin as well.
Thank you. Like, that's what, like, shout out to Charmin. If you want to sponsor Bucks and Brews.
Ultra strong.
Ultra soft.
No, I use the ultra strong.
Is it the blue one?
No, it's the red one.
Red one. I use both.
I use the ultra strong. Gotta have it.
I use both, but I think I have the blue one right now, and I really love it.
Did you ever think we'd sit here and talk on Bucks
Toilet
and Brews
paper?
about the type of toilet paper
No,
we like?
but I'm telling you guys, it just makes my life that much better. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is, there's things I buy from different places, and my problem is so like today I bought a Milwaukee light, a Sawzall, and 2 batteries for $315.
Okay.
Okay. If I had to buy that at my local hardware store, that light is $258 by itself.
Mhm.
That Sawzall is $200. So follow me. We're at $450.
450.
The batteries a piece are $180 a piece. Okay.
How many batteries?
So, 2.
So you might as well say $400 there.
Yeah. So I'm at $850 and I bought it for $315.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to do it.
Correct. I'm not like nothing, but don't get me wrong. I bought my chainsaw from them, even though because I granted I could have waited for the special, but I was like, you know what? Like, here, take this. And I bought something else at the exact same time. I bought 2 tools from them. Oh, a hedge trimmer. I don't like it. Milwaukee, I've never said these words, but it's too big. Right?
Okay.
It's like got like a 24-inch freaking blade. So it's meant for like
Huge.
big hedges, right? And the things I'm cutting are usually against tree or fences and stuff like that. And it's like, I actually find that the 12-inch one does pretty well. Like I didn't realize. So maybe I need both.
Can I go on a tangent for a
Yeah,
minute?
please do. Have fun.
So
I need a beer anyway.
you're out. That's it. Me too. So Christy and I are talking today while we're working, and she tells me about this documentary she's been watching, and I should watch it. And I'm like, all right. So the first 45 seconds, she had said to me, "Don't let Caitlin get involved with this cult." The first 45 seconds, they're talking about God, and I said, "Don't worry, my kid is not interested if they're talking about God." And she goes, "Yeah, he does get very Jesus-y at the end. He thinks he's Jesus." And I said, "Hey, Zeus, I like him very much, but he no help with curveball." And she goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So I sent her the clip from Major League.
Yeah.
And she goes, "That's funny." I'm like, right, because that's the answer. He no help with curveball. Are you saying Jesus Christ couldn't hit a curveball?
So I watched the other day, because I'm interested. I watched a documentary called Capitol Riot.
Okay.
And my 8-year-old thought it was a little scary because it's live. There's a lot of live footage and stuff like that, but it is about the inauguration of Joe Biden and Donald Trump stepping away and the storming of the Capitol.
Correct, on January 6th.
And it's weird. I didn't realize how old I've gotten, right? Because when I was younger, I never thought about things. And in my opinion, the United States failed.
Yeah.
Okay. Those people that did that were attacking America.
Yes.
Okay. The United States military did eventually get called in and it got shut down, but it should have been done a heck of a lot quicker.
Yes.
And
the problem is they were waiting for the president to call them in. And at that point, it was Trump. And he was really enjoying the fact that everybody's rioting for him.
But, and so it's just, and we're explaining this to my daughter, like, hey, this is the number one job for the United States military is to protect the nation.
Correct.
Okay. By that, I mean the people. Now, anything that's seen as an attack upon the United States needs to be protected and taken care of. And it sucks to say that about our own Americans, but the fact is
they attacked the Capitol.
You attacked my country.
Yeah.
And that's not okay, right?
Correct.
So, and I'm trying to get her to understand, like, because I look at the military, hey, thank you to the military for what they're doing, but you have to understand this is what it is, right? I don't remember the statistics at the end of it, but it talked about the amount of suicides afterwards was astronomical.
It was.
Right. Not just, but it was people of the military, people of the police.
The Capitol Police.
And I want to talk about this real quick. Okay. Here's what bugged me the most. Okay. You are liberal. Okay.
Very much. Very much.
So when defunding the police came up, you probably supported it.
I support it with a caveat because, again, I come from a cop family.
Sure.
I support it with a caveat.
Yeah.
We have a broken police system
Very much.
in this country. It is very much anti people of color.
Sure.
And I think they are asked to do things that they should never be asked to do.
Mhm.
You know, if you're calling somebody for a welfare check in a domestic situation, is a cop the best person to handle that? Probably not. I mean, I'll expose myself. There have been times that my wife and I have been in very bad arguments and gotten physical with each other. Does a cop need to come break that up? No, we need somebody to come and mediate between the two of us on why we're acting the way we're acting. Now, are we not justified for being angry? No, we're justified for being angry. You know, I did something that made her mad, or she did something that made me mad, and we're expressing that anger.
Mhm.
But does the police officer need to take care of that? No, that's not their job. Their job is, you know, to protect my wife when
Sure.
somebody comes in here and wants to beat the shit out of her.
Yep. So, you know, that being said,
Uh-huh.
you would agree with me that most Republicans,
Mhm.
and let's say extreme Republicans, the ones that would storm the Capitol,
Yeah.
were probably the people who were the most upset about defunding the police.
100%.
The amount of disrespect I've seen from these people who wanted to defund the police towards the police themselves.
They were hitting police officers with the fucking American flag,
Correct.
just beating them senseless,
Right. Of the United States Police Department.
pulling a fucking door into that one cop
Mhm.
who's sitting there screaming for mercy.
Like, the documentary didn't show that, but like, you know, the idea was just like, holy shit, practice what you preach. Like, if you're gonna sit here and want this, don't like, why would you disrespect people like that? So anyway, that being said, that's who I am as a person. Right? Like, I see, but I'm not a fan of defunding the police. I'm a fan of training up and getting them to get the right training. I think that, you know, it's funny. One of my favorite memes of all time, I want to say it's a police car in Italy and a police car in the USA. Okay. This is a black car with black writing that says police or sheriff or whatever on the side. And the lights are like on the dash. You know, there's no head, you know, roof light anymore. It is like, and then there's the European, right? And it is white with like safety yellow stripes and blue stripes. And, you know, and it was like, all right, one is out here to gain money and one is out here to protect. Right.
Correct.
Like, and so, you know, I think that the idea is we're here for protection.
Well, I think you'll agree with me. Police in the United States are
Mhm.
not here to serve and protect.
God, no.
They're here to deal with things after the fact.
For the most part.
Write tickets, you know,
Correct.
for stupid
Eh,
traffic violations,
Correct.
which are horseshit.
Yep.
Or, you know, you've been robbed, so they'll come take a report, but
Report.
nobody's going to find the person that robbed you because God forbid.
Yep.
It's not about serving or
insurance is for.
protecting. Right. It's more about working for the corporate overlords than it is
Absolutely correct.
working for the people.
Correct. Yep. And that's the
And in other countries, it's not.
nope. Yeah.
So let's just roll right into it.
Yeah.
Nick, why is this still a good country? Because I'm ready to move to fucking Germany right now.
Say, America is the land of opportunity.
What opportunity?
So you have the opportunity to do as you wish, when you wish, right?
I'm not sure I buy that anymore.
So you
I can do that anywhere. How many other countries have freedom?
Oh, I say
Like 300.
27 or so.
Like 300.
Yeah, but you have the ability to create your own destiny here.
How?
We allow you to make as much money as you want. We allow you to do it in any way that you want, right?
No. You say we allow. Give me an actual example of how we allow.
Okay, so I was just in Missouri, right? And there's two shops that are literally I think they're called the Patriot Shop, you know, but they were a Trump store, right?
Mhm.
You have the ability to choose a party and sell that product and make money off of it.
You can do that as a Trump supporter.
You could do it as a Biden
No,
supporter.
you can't.
Yeah,
Nobody's buying Biden shit.
nobody's buying it, but like I'm saying,
Because again,
you have the opportunity.
I am not a fan of a fucking politician.
Correct.
The Trump supporters are fans of his.
Mhm.
They don't really give a shit what he believes in. They just parrot bullshit. It's not that they're sitting there going, oh my God, he stands for what I stand for. The only thing he stands for that they stand for is racism and misogyny.
Which surprises me, man. That like society's changed so much, right?
Again, he's not a Republican.
No, it's funny because he used to be like one of the biggest Democrats.
He was a huge Democrat.
Yeah. But you know, so you have the opportunities, and I'm not saying there's not other countries, but you asking me why America is still great. Right?
I don't see the opportunities. So again,
you had the ability to open this building, right?
Okay.
Other countries,
You can do that in many other countries.
Many-
You can open a business in many countries.
I'm not saying it's the greatest.
I'm asking why this is the best country.
Oh, say, why are we the best country? I believe in the fact that we are allowed to vote, right?
Many places are allowed to vote.
Correct. I believe that our voice still has an impact.
It doesn't.
In other countries, like sure, you can go protest in other countries, but like
Tell me how our voice has an impact here, though.
because you get to vote, right? Okay, let's
Do our votes really matter?
let's talk about this.
Do our votes really matter?
In my opinion, for the first time ever in this last election, I do agree that it did. Mind you, I did not like the outcome of this last election. I also didn't like the outcome of the other side of it if it happened. Okay. But
Because you voted third party.
I did.
But-
Absolutely correct.
But again, even looking at
The
it,
fact,
do you know how close it was to being flipped the other way?
yeah, it was like 20,000 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the entire nation.
Correct.
340 million people, and it was 20,000 votes different. Because how many voted? 180?
It was 168,000.
Okay.
Or 168 million.
So
Right.
not even half.
169 million.
Not even
No.
half of the United States voted.
But that's not true. Okay, let me be clear. I don't know the exact statistics because I looked this up because I can't figure it out. I don't know. Okay, when we talk about America as a whole,
Mhm.
there are 390 million people. It doesn't break it down between people less than 18.
Let's say a third.
Okay. So now if we take what did we just say?
260.
That's how much is there?
Yeah, that's
Left?
a third. That's 2/3.
Okay, so
So if you say 160, it's about half.
I mean that's 70%.
That's not 70%.
260, 169. Shit. What do we say? You said 260?
Roughly.
65%.
Okay.
Right. So 65% of and that now here's the problem. So that's registered voters.
Mhm.
Okay. Registered voters, 65% actually showed up. Or no, all of the registered really it was like pretty much all the registered voters actually voted in this last one, which was amazing to me. So only 2/3 of people are registered to vote. The other third is younger, we're assuming, or felons or things like that.
Well, again,
But
even looking at this, though, between the two parties,
Mhm.
who wants people to vote?
Democrats,
Why?
so they can start getting what they're getting currently.
What does that mean?
So in my field, right, of real estate, Democrats are now starting to push for rent controls. They're starting to push for things like equal pay, right? I don't know what you guys call it. I'm so sorry. Fair wages, whatever, and you want the government to be more involved,
Mhm.
right? You want the government to set limits for these large corporations and other things. You want minimum wage to be a thing. You want
Minimum wage has been a thing since 1930.
the minimum wage to be higher, right? Like
Why shouldn't it be?
we've talked about that on an episode. Like
Nick, minimum wage is $7.50.
725.
Okay, it's $7.25.
The federal
And it has
wage.
been that way
But-
for 20 some odd years.
Correct. But the federal minimum
Can you live
wage,
on $7.25 an hour?
no.
I don't know anybody that can.
I mean people that live at home,
What do you mean people that live at home?
people live with their parents.
Okay. Your daughter.
Correct. She could live off 725 an hour.
My daughter could not.
She doesn't live at home.
If she did, she could not.
She could.
No, she could not.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely not.
No, she just wouldn't get the things she wanted. And that's the thing about America.
Minimum wage was not about scraping by. It was about living an average life.
See, and average isn't fair, right?
I'm fine with average not being fair. At $7.25 an hour, you can't afford to live.
But the average wage in the world is $1.
We don't live in the world. We live in this fucking country.
That's what I'm saying. Is America has the opportunity? Like, we are 7 times higher.
Tell me why I
than
should
the
stay
average
here than go
company.
to fucking Germany.
It's like, I'm not
You
gonna
can't.
I'm not going to convince you not to, right?
You can't.
But you have unlimited opportunities
We
to
made
buy what you
100
want.
We made $124,000 last year.
Yeah.
I don't have 2 fucking nickels to rub together.
But you also made your choice of how to spend your money.
I don't think I made a choice on how to spend my money when it came to medical.
I agree.
My issue was
But
drop dead or go to the doctor.
and don't get me wrong, like, you and I both agree that our medical is fucked. Right?
18.5 I owe in medical.
But right, like, and it's not. I'm not being a dick about it, but I am. You went on at least 1, maybe 2 cruises last year.
Correct.
You went to Chicago for a bachelor party.
Yep.
You went to California.
Yep.
You went to Cincinnati.
Yep.
You went to another vacation.
Okay. So totally agree. Let's go with the 5 years I went fucking nowhere.
No, I get it, right? But the opportunity that you have
For 5 years, from 2012 when I went to Hawaii
Mhm.
until when did we go on that first cruise? The end of 21?
no before that.
When did we go? We went in 22.
We
We went the end of 21. Mike, Dawn, Caitlin, and I went in October of 21. You and I went in October of 22.
Okay.
So from 2012 to 22, I didn't go fucking anywhere.
Yep.
So for 10 years, I did nothing.
Right. And then your bills started hitting in after you started going places.
Correct. Because I went, hey, I
Right.
damn near died.
I'd rather live life.
So I'm going to live my life, even though it's going to cost me in the long run. And it has cost me in the long run.
Oh, yeah.
But again, looking at it, again, we talked about this last week. Taxes.
Mhm.
Taxes are horrible here because we're not getting anything for our fucking tax money.
We get nothing for it.
But if you look in other countries, like they're like, well, you don't want to live in Canada because you spend 50% of your income in taxes. I spend more than that right now paying for fucking insurance premiums. So if you're going to tell me that my fucking healthcare is free, I'm okay spending 50% of my shit if I'm getting healthcare for free. And if I make under a certain amount of money, I'm getting a stipend back from the government, or I'm getting things for my fucking tax money. Right now, what I'm getting for my tax money is they're paying defense contractors for bullshit.
don't get me wrong, we have a broken system, right? But we have the ability to unbreak this system. Okay. Now you look at China, Russia, right? That is an unbreakable system, right? It always and forever will be that way. I love the ability to be able to do that. Now, if you're asking why America is the greatest, I mean, we go back to what is it? News press, news, whatever, with one of my favorite actors is Jeff Daniels. Newsroom, right? He answers this question
It's not.
beyond fucking belief, right?
Yeah, it's not.
We are the dumbest, like we're 23rd and fucking learning, we're whatever, right? Again, I'm going for Board of Education because it's funny. I'm not the highest educated person, but I believe that education is out there, and I believe that we need to excel and be something for greatness, right?
Should community college be free?
No.
Why?
Because you're choosing to go above and beyond.
Again, it's free in most other nations.
Yep, that's correct. So
should university
I
be
can
free?
also go become a
Should university be free?
no,
Why?
because you're choosing to.
Again, it's free in many other nations.
Correct.
Should it be $100,000?
I personally think that some should be $100,000.
What ones?
Let's go with, I mean, right, Ivy League schools.
They weren't $100,000 in the early 90s.
You're absolutely correct. Okay, if you graduate from Harvard, you are guaranteed a 6-figure income.
My
Right?
tuition.
Do you agree with that?
No,
No?
no, I do not agree with
Look it up. It's a fact.
You're not guaranteed anything.
Nothing's a guarantee in life, but you have a job offer when you graduate. Like every student in Harvard, if graduating, has a job offer.
I'm not sure I buy that.
It's a factual statement. Like it's not a question. It is because it is all Harvard does is a pass or fail. Right? And so if you graduate, you have a job offer. So we're going to look this up and prove that I am right.
We are definitely going to look this up.
Yeah. But right. So if you're choosing to become that is an
Harvard
opportunity.
Extension. I don't know about Harvard Extension.
But if they don't believe that you're smart enough to get a job, they just don't graduate you. Now, should you pay for that? Sucks, right? But like, you have to be fully willing to do this.
Keep talking while I'm looking.
Right. Now, I think, hey, if you
Our graduates enjoy an extraordinarily high rate of success receiving job offers and admission to graduate and professional schools. Resident tutors in each of the 12 residential houses assist students in applying to graduate schools and fellowship programs. The Mignone Center for Career Success offers all undergraduate ranges of job internships and counseling placement. For instance, citizens should be aware that some special policies pertain should they seek employment in the U.S. after graduation. So it is not a guarantee.
Sure, if you're a foreign person that comes to Harvard,
It's still not a guarantee as a graduate. It's an extraordinarily high rate of success, but there's no guarantee.
Sure, so the one person didn't get it. But just say now if you're going to these places, right? It's a very high likelihood, and it says very, right?
Mhm.
Like you're getting 99%, David. Like of 100 people, and I would say even more, right? 99 point something.
I graduated with a higher GPA than anybody you know.
Mhm.
You know how many interviews I've had since I graduated?
I say I don't know about that, but yes,
Okay, how many people were higher than me, do you think?
I bet my buddy, that's the doctor.
Okay, the doctor might be.
Like his
Mine was a 3.86. Ask him.
So I should ask.
The only person I know that graduated with a higher GPA than me is my mother,
Let's say,
because hers was damn near a 4.0. But I digress. Ask me how many interviews I've had since I graduated.
how many?
0. Not a fucking one.
And I think that so there's multiple things to that. Give me 2 seconds.
Sure.
One, you have a lot of pride. Okay.
What does that mean? I'm not applying to jobs that I should get an interview for?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You're cheap and you have a lot of pride.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're not getting interviews, to me that tells me your resume isn't written correctly.
My resume has been
Exactly.
vetted
So by who?
by HR.
Your HR?
Yes.
And what did they say?
They gave me hints to make it better.
And did you make it better?
Yes.
Okay. And your HR, the place that you're trying to move up for. Oh no, wait, you're trying to go to a different place. Do you think they're actually going to give a fuck? If
I think they did. Yes.
you see what I'm saying? Like they're not going to try to get you in a better job, so you can
Their business is to get me in a better job there.
right? And it's surprising that you haven't had have you applied in your own company?
Yes, I have.
And nothing,
Nothing.
not even a fucking interview.
No.
That's rough.
You know what I've gotten? Thanks, but no thanks.
Really?
That's what I've gotten from everything.
In your own company?
Yes.
That's surprising.
In every company.
Did you email them again and ask them to help you with your resume again?
No,
I would.
I'm not.
But say,
Because if you don't want to help me, fuck you.
but there's
No,
companies.
my resume is very good, honestly.
I'm saying there's companies out there that can, if you know what you're going to, fine tune it, figure it out, like they'll help you with it, right? And at least then you'll get interviews.
I applied for a job that I am highly qualified for.
I'm finding this so much
And you know what they said to me?
too qualified.
No. They said, thanks for your interest, but we're going to find a better candidate.
Yeah.
It's literally what I do and have done for the last 15 years. You're not going to find a better candidate.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to leave my company, mind you.
No.
I'm just throwing it out there to see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't get a fucking call back.
Yep.
And that seems to be the norm from the people that actually have abilities behind their themselves.
But that's what companies are doing, especially with the economy the way it is currently. They're going to find the guy who's young and dumb. And literally, if you get replaced and you're making what, 50, 60, 70?
Yeah.
If you get replaced, they're going to hire for 35, 40.
You're right.
Right. So if they can cut back and get a person that works 80% of what you work, and they've saved.
They're not
50
going to find
50
somebody that works 80% of what I work. They're going to
50%.
find somebody that works 40% of what I work.
I'd say 60. Let's go 60. And they're offering 50% of what you make. They've made 10%.
I get what you're saying.
So, like,
My problem is I don't even warrant an interview.
I know,
I don't even warrant a conversation.
which is weird. I should start applying for jobs.
Yeah,
for
but
the fuck of it.
that's seems to be common with people nowadays.
I actually, Facebook, I read two that were just like that. One anonymous said, I've applied for 50 places and haven't gotten a single call. And I'm like, And so I started looking through things and stuff like that. But
I saw a guy on TikTok today. He was bitching and moaning that he's accepted like 4 jobs and they ghost him. I'm like, dude, that's great. You actually got to the point where you could accept something.
right.
I haven't even been talked to.
Huh.
And
But-
again, I'm not going for shit that I don't fucking qualify for.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to leave. And it's not like they don't know I don't want to leave.
Right.
I just want to see what opportunities may or may not be out there that I might be more interested in than what I'm doing.
Well-
And I can't even get a fucking phone call.
And this is what like. This is what we were talking about with Sarah Barco. I'd love to do a book or something, or even if we did it on what's the one we love to do? The threads.
Reddit?
Right? Like, I want these jobs that people don't know of, right? I want to get the things that people have no idea that are out there. You could be as sexist as it is, like, you could be a masseuse for swimsuit models. Now, you could be a masseuse and everybody just thinks that you're a person that just does whatever. But like, now you can go like swimsuit model, like pro athletes. You could be this type of a thing. Like, you can go into a field, like, you and I love sports. We could technically be masseuses for these pro athletes,
I know where you're coming from with this.
right? But like,
Because you didn't know somebody was cleaning the fish tank.
dude, the fish tank,
Cabela's.
like, that's a fucking job.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know about this.
There's a job for like burping koalas.
Right.
I want that job.
Exactly. Right. Like, I want to know about all these things that people don't have an idea about.
Mhm.
Right. Because like 90% of America is, 90% of Michigan is working in a factory. Right. Because that's what we are. We're the industrial freaking area. So, I want to be the person that makes mugs. I'm sitting here looking around, porcelain things. Like, I don't know of any of these jobs that are out there. Right. But I say with America, we are okay. We have the ability to choose things that most countries below us don't get to, right? Other first world nations don't get the ability to just pack your shit and go to another area, right? We have land that is absolutely beautiful, right?
Okay. Because France is small.
Correct.
Or Germany is small.
Correct.
But Canada is not.
Canada doesn't have the beautiful summers we have. They have okay summers.
Okay, it's cold.
Correct. They don't have Hawaii. They don't
We
have.
shouldn't have Hawaii.
Doesn't matter. We have it though. So right, we have the ability to choose where we want to be when we want to be there.
I mean, literally anybody has that ability.
No, in China you don't have that ability. Right.
Right. In a
Russia-
communist country, you do not
in
have
Russia,
that
you don't-
ability.
Right. In Venezuela, you don't have that ability.
Yeah, they're walking to other places, is what they're doing. They're going to Mexico.
One thing I will say, and I believe it, as much as it sucks, I believe we have the best doctors in the nation.
I don't.
Really?
In the nation, yes. In the world,
So,
no.
in the world.
No,
You don't think so?
no.
I mean, we go out and hire all of these people.
I think we have good doctors. I don't think we have the best in the world.
I mean, I think a lot of them, and this is some of you that suck at your job, I think a lot of them have lost their passion and whatever, but I think their knowledge and their abilities are the best.
I
We
can't say we have better doctors here than you have in India or
I would think so.
the UK or
But I'm not saying, and maybe I don't know the right word, but like I'm not saying family med physicians. I'm talking about specialists, right? Like we have the guaranteed #1 nation cancer doctor.
they have specialists all over that do way better things than they do here because they don't have to be beholden to a fucking insurance company.
I agree, but I think the ability to get us to where but the problem is also there's a negative to it, right? We have people like, okay, we are the most over medicated fucking country in the world.
Mhm.
Okay. Which means they just learn the fast and cheap, easy. It's not fast, cheap, but it's fast, but it's not cheap. But we've learned the fastest, easy way out to get you back to the bare minimum to be able to do what you need to do.
So the only real pandemic you ever lived through was COVID.
Yeah, I didn't do the Black Plague or anything.
You also didn't do AIDS.
I mean, not as an adult, but like
Not even as a kid.
I mean, I did, right? Because
You did it for the fact that when you were born, AIDS was there.
well,
When I was born, there was no AIDS.
okay,
AIDS came around in the first part of the 80s, so like 83.
yeah, and late, yeah, but like Magic Johnson, right? Like I remember all that type of story.
Correct, because at that point there was still no cure.
Correct.
There was just a cocktail.
Yep.
Who discovered the AIDS virus?
No idea.
French doctors.
Really?
It was not American
Yeah.
doctors.
Let's say
It was the French doctors.
and
they did it basically piggybacking feline leukemia because it was very similar. So we didn't figure out what it was, and we didn't figure out how the fuck to fix it.
but I say we look at the atomic bomb, right? Like it was made by Germans, right? But we had them, right? Like,
We were talking about doctors, and you took a left turn to the atomic
No,
bomb.
I'm just saying, like, so we go out and we go out to other countries, and I can't tell you if America went and got those guys after they created this AIDS vaccine or whatever it would be. Like, we go out and buy whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, because there's a lot of money here.
Correct. That's what America.
Because it's owned by corporations.
Correct. I mean, but
that doesn't make this a great place.
It makes us the ability to be a financial great place.
But we're not.
Correct. Well, we're in so much fucking debt. How much? 1 point?
Not even the debt that I worry about. Look at the people.
No, the people here.
How many times do you drive down the road and you see people begging for money?
Daily?
Should they do that in the richest nation in the world?
No, but I think they do that in every nation.
Yeah, they probably do. But should they do it in the richest nation in the world?
I don't know the answer. My answer to that is yes.
I'm going to make up a number.
My answer to that is yes.
I'm going to make up a number.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say 70% of homeless people have some kind of mental deficiency, whether
maybe it's more.
Maybe they are, some kind of mental.
Correct.
Yeah. Bipolar,
disorder, something.
Yeah, schizophrenia, something that is keeping them from being a productive member of society.
Correct.
And what have we done with those people?
Nothing. Absolutely.
Right.
Nothing.
We do nothing for them. Fuck them. They're on their own.
Correct. And
should that be what the richest nation in the world does?
No, you should care for the people. And, it sounds horrible because I don't know who got rid of insane asylums, right? But that is still care and comfort, right?
Reagan.
Was it? Right. And there should be.
Reagan loosened restrictions on all of the mental hospitals. Now, were the mental hospitals good? No.
Nothing America does is good.
Could you have found a way to actually take care of those people that were mentally ill? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. We have, one of the things that we're the greatest at is we have the highest imprisonment of people.
And why?
Because we need it for income.
Correct. Because it is a for-profit business.
What was your GPA?
3.86.
Oh, you beat him. So 3.7. So yeah. But I was in the top 5% of his class. So
I'm sure I was too.
yeah.
Jim or Wendy might have been higher than me. I would assume Wendy. I have never asked them.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know. There's not like no matter what, right? There's not going to be an answer, but because we think differently, but I'm not. I don't know. I've never gone to other countries and tried to do real estate things, but like I know in Mexico, if I try to buy a place, I have to like have citizenship.
Mhm.
I know that here in America, you don't have to have citizenship to buy.
If you go to Hawaii,
Yep.
you are not allowed to buy a place.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you have to qualify to buy certain places. Now, like you might be able to buy an apartment, but if you wanted to buy a place in the country, you can't.
Because I had a friend,
Mhm.
and I still have him,
Mhm.
and him and his husband, their parents owned a house on every island.
So when it comes to Hawaiian land,
Mhm.
you might be able to buy a house.
Okay.
You cannot buy property.
Vacant land. But
Correct.
I mean, it's like because Oprah just bought a shit ton.
Because if you're looking to buy that,
Mhm.
that goes to Native people first.
Okay.
And they have a list that they'll go down. So you're right. An existing home you could buy.
Okay.
But an actual land that you want to build a house on, they have a list that they go down to offer it to, the next native person on the list.
Yep.
And if you want it in the city, you're more likely to get it than if you want it in the country. Your great grandkids might get it in the country by the time it gets to them. Because again, it's very limited.
Yeah, there's nothing left.
Right.
I mean, everybody wants it.
Correct.
Right? It's and okay, so we go back to it, and I don't know how many people with disabilities are in Hawaii
Many.
that are homeless.
Many.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So they were smart enough just to get there.
Yeah. If you go to Honolulu, if you go to Waikiki,
That's what I hear.
there are so many homeless people.
Yeah.
So they found a fucking way to get to Waikiki.
Yeah.
And again,
Well, I get the homeless, but like I'm saying with disabilities, like right, like of
I would say a lot of them probably do have some kind of mental disability.
Yeah.
And some of them just got there and they, they'll make things on the beach and sell them for whatever they can get, and that'll get them their next meal.
Yeah. So, I think it's hard because right, like I'm very proud to be an American, right? I am very, but I'm not fly a flag and rub it in your face, right? I'm very proud to be from Michigan, right? I go talk shit to any other state. Like I have that pride because I'm just glad to be born in a country that's not China, Russia, right? I have this ability. Like I've had the ability to create what I have in life. I have the ability to do the things. Is there other countries I could go do that? You're absolutely correct, right? But the fear and whatever to go start that, man, is tough.
I used to be very proud to be an American.
Yeah.
I am not anymore.
Yeah. I say, we get to do a podcast and talk about whatever the hell we want.
I could do that anywhere.
Say no. North Korea.
I could do that in North Korea or China or Russia.
Yeah.
But there are many places I could do that in.
Yeah. Let's see.
Again, I keep looking into property in the Caribbean because I want to be where it's warm.
Dude, that's where it's at.
And I don't want to be here. And I'm okay with that because, again, I want a certain type of lifestyle. And the type of lifestyle I want is a little more slowed down. And even with medical care in many of these other countries, they have the ability to, take care of sick people, which they don't in this country. Yes, we can go to the doctor, but it takes forever to get into a doctor. It's astronomical fee-wise. It's just not financially responsible. And that's the worst part. And I come from working in healthcare, and it's frustrating to know that when you start a year, you're looking at, hey, how much is the most I'm going to pay for medical this year? So, like it could be 10,000, it could be 13,000. I know I won't spend more than that, but again, do I have $10,000 or $13,000 to spend on that? I know I don't. Maybe other people do. It's great if they do. But one of the major factors for bankruptcy in this country is medical debt, because we get to a point where it's just so expensive to keep treating disease that you can't find a way to continue to pay it off. And again, it's something that shouldn't happen in the richest nation in the world.
Well, I say, and I think that's the problem, is we are still for a little bit the richest nation in the world, right? And for some people, this is a great thing because that's what we have. But we have a lot to work on, and I don't think it's going to go forward before it goes even farther backwards.
Well, I think you're right. I think that when I was born, there was still American exceptionalism. I think to an extent when you were born, there was still American exceptionalism. There were times that you sat there and you went, I live in the greatest country in the world.
Yep.
My daughter was born in 95. She can't point to any time in her life where this has been the greatest country in the world.
The day she was born.
She doesn't remember that.
Right. Is there any other country you can walk in and get healthcare?
Yeah. Most other nations.
Even as a non-citizen?
If I was in Canada right now and I fell ill,
Yeah,
they will take care of me being in Canada.
will they cover it?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Surprisingly.
Yeah. If you get sick in another country, they treat you as though you're one of theirs.
Okay.
If you get sick here, you're fucked.
Yeah.
My biggest medical bill is not from when I tried to die. It was after I tried to die, and I had to have a couple of procedures done. They cost astronomical amounts of money. And mind you, they were procedures that needed to be done, but they were so much more expensive than my 5 days in the fucking hospital, or my 5 trips to the ER when they decided to tell me that I was perfectly fine. You should just go home.
I say we are number one in military.
Correct. We're number one in military.
Yep. So that's what we got.
But our students can't read and write.
That's a fact. Well, we're like 27th or something.
They can't critically think. We don't teach critical thinking. We teach memorization.
Yep.
What did you learn in school, Nick?
I have no idea. I'm taught to memorize things.
Yeah, we were taught how to memorize things. That's what I was taught too.
But
I remember
I'm really good at it.
One of the things Mike and I love is we love Welcome Back, Kotter. You ever watch Welcome Back, Kotter?
Oh yeah.
I love Welcome Back, Kotter. And I remember at one point, Mr. Woodman's pissed off because Cotter's not teaching out of the book. And he goes, that's what history is. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's not learning. That's memorization. And that's great if you can memorize shit. That's awesome. But I don't want an employee that memorizes shit. I want an employee that can challenge me. We coached together.
Yeah.
Did I tell you to have the same fucking opinion as me?
No.
Did I tell you to memorize the shit I told you to memorize?
No.
Did I ask you your opinion?
Sometimes.
Did it agree with mine all the time?
No. No, not usually.
I remember losing a fucking bet to you because I said, well, we'll never bat around this thing. And you go, I bet dinner that we will. And I lost fucking dinner.
Yep.
Because you challenged me.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's what makes you better.
Of course.
We don't do those things anymore.
No. I think we're probably number one in obesity.
Absolutely.
So we get the ability to eat anything and everything.
But why are we number one in obesity? Is it because the food here, we eat so much more of it, or is it because the food is worse for us here?
I think there's both. I would say both.
You don't think they eat a lot in Europe?
I don't know if they
don't get the portion sizes that we get. I will agree with that.
Right? Like, I don't think
but they also don't drive cars like we do.
No. Well, but you also go to New York and California where there's public transit and things like that. The Midwest is very hard, right? I mean, we don't have public transit. We don't have things like that.
There is in major cities, Chicago.
Correct, right?
Like LA's transit's awful.
Yeah.
Chicago's is great.
But I'm saying, like, you could walk to these things and get somewhere. and it doesn't cost you $500 to fucking take an Uber. Like, I mean, dude, we were at C2E2 in Chicago,
Yeah.
and one day it was like $45 for me to go like a mile back to my hotel.
And again, you could have not taken an Uber and taken the bus. It would have taken you a couple buses.
Right.
And it would have probably taken you an hour.
Right.
But you could have done it cheap.
Yep. So, you know, it's one of those where it's like, hey, we pay for here and now. You know, I'd like to learn about Wi-Fi a little bit more.
What do you mean?
From what I understand, almost every country in Europe has free Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
The US does not.
No. Again, our infrastructure here is horrible. Every nation in Europe has a rail system that works. We don't. Yeah, there's Amtrak, but Amtrak takes forever.
So it's slowing down.
But
But like,
it's not even because it's just so grand in size. Like I remember we would take the Wolverine from Kalamazoo to Chicago,
Yep.
and we would get like around South Bend, and we just stop and sit for 45 minutes because we were just too early.
Well,
The fuck you mean too early?
well, it's not even just that. So the railroads in America are not owned by Amtrak.
Mhm.
It's borrowed.
Correct.
So every freighter gets right of way.
Mhm.
So Amtrak has to pull off. So yes, there's no public rail. It's offered as public, but there's no public rail that is owned, and people wouldn't take it anyway, right? I mean,
They could.
they could, but they won't.
It's not convenient, which is why they won't.
Correct, right? I still think that granted, even if we had the opportunity where we had a railway, I don't think now that we're so far into this, cars and planes and things like that, people wouldn't take it.
I would take it if it saved me a car payment.
No. Oh yeah. I mean, but you're not going to Chicago every week, or whatever it is. But
No, but I like if I lived in Chicago, I wouldn't have a car. I just
No.
wouldn't have one.
right. You say, yeah.
If I lived in a place with actual public transportation, if I lived in New York, I wouldn't have a car.
right, but I'm saying, Amtrak, like to get from here to California or whatever, right? Like I would love to take the train. I
Yeah.
just know that it's expensive and it takes a crap ton of time.
Yeah.
And I can fly there for $100 more and be there in
3
hours,
hours,
right? Like hours versus days. So, I think there's countries that do things a heck of a lot better. But it's all stuff we can learn.
We were innovative once.
Yeah.
We're just not anymore.
Oh, we're in a whole new era, right?
And not only are we not innovative, we allow ourselves to be fooled by ass wipes.
Yes.
Again, we have the minimum wage conversation all the fucking time.
Mhm.
Minimum wage means you should be able to live. Yes, a minimum lifestyle, but a minimum lifestyle still has food on your fucking table, it has a roof over your fucking head, it has your medical needs taken care of.
Mhm.
That's not what minimum wage is anymore.
If you're making actual minimum wage, I think you would get all of that.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
What's minimum wage?
$7.25, right? How much is that a year?
$14,000.
Exactly. So at that point, if you were making minimum wage, then the government steps up.
But they don't.
Yeah, no, you get Medicare, Medicaid, right? At that point, you get food stamps, you get food stamps and WIC type thing. You get what was the other thing you talked about? So we have food, and then shelter, right? I mean, you get Section 8 kind of thing. But you have to make
Who the fuck qualifies that for Section fucking 8?
I mean,
and who takes it?
a shit ton of people.
Who takes it?
More than you know. It's insane. But the idea is like, okay, so my problem that I have is, let's say 14,000. I don't know the exact number, but like that's the minimum wage. Now, if you make $7.50, right? Because again, we said $7.25 is minimum wage. If you make $7.50, you're fucked. Right?
Yeah, because you make too much.
Correct. So I think that minimum needs to go up, and the ability to help gets there, right? But I do feel at a minimum wage, you would get the minimum lifestyle. It's anything else that you try to go to improve yourself is where you get fucked, right? I would say that is the correct way to say that.
And I will say that I don't think minimum wage is going to cover the basic necessities. I just don't. I don't know what you have to qualify for food stamps. I know there was a point where Dawn and I got them for like like you said, we got them for like a day,
Mhm.
and then they went away because she made a little bit more money,
$5 extra. Yep.
and we didn't have a pot to piss in the
No,
time.
no, trust me, that's the problem. You're broke, and then you become even more broke because you don't get any assistance.
Even with like, so Medicaid, you have to have a certain amount of money, but there's also state sponsored low income healthcare. So like in Michigan, it's Healthy Michigan.
Yep.
You have to make, I want to say $17,500 or less to qualify for that. And there are copays on that.
Yeah.
So you still, it's not free, but it's close to free.
Yep.
I don't know anybody that makes $17,000 or less.
Well,
So like Caitlin at one point made 24,000.
Mhm.
She didn't have the money to pay for literally anything.
and that's exactly it. She's making 24, which is only 10,000 more. But with the minimum, you're getting so much. Like I don't remember. There used to be a statistic that just showed how much food stamps added up to be, how much all this added up to be. And to me, there needs to be a system that just weans you off of it. So, right, like if you go from making again 14,000 and you get that raise for 50 cents, now we take 50 cents off, right? And you get to what your $15 would be, and let's just say 15. You're living the same life that you were down here. Granted, food stamps, you have the choice to do what you, but like that's the whole idea to me is, hey, make a system where it weans you and it doesn't penalize you for making more money. You just don't have to use any more of our money, right? And that's great. That's what I want. I want people to have better lives. I want people to have this opportunity.
Well, and the worst part is when we look at it, how much of the actual federal budget is social programs like Medicaid or
Not enough.
Food stamps?
Mhm. Like,
I mean, we're talking like maybe 2%.
Let's say that this is one that we should have studied for.
We should have. As we sit here and make everybody listen
Right.
to nothing.
Let's say, what percentage of U.S. citizens are on food stamps? 12%, 12.5. 21.6 million households receive SNAP, right?
Federal spending on USDA food and nutrition assistant programs totaled 183 billion in fiscal year 2022. 6% less than fiscal year 2021.
No, because that means people are making more money
or they cut the spending.
Or they cut, right? And that's what I like. My problem is
2.4% of total federal spending is in SNAP programs. But mind you, conservatives will sit there and point to that's the reason why there's no money.
Yeah. Well, and that's right. Like they'll never fight the fact that our military budget is astronomical, right?
Yeah, as much as the next 20 some odd countries combined.
27 or something like that. But yes, right. I think that the system can be better and it should be. And the amount of people that fight that are just, they're ridiculous to me, right? I know I have a buddy who takes Section 8. You asked that question, right? I have a buddy who takes it. And this is, I won't say any name, whatever. Okay, so if the person is renting the place, the government will pay $900.
Mhm.
Now, electric and gas is on the tenant, so then they'll get assistance or something like that type of thing. But now, if my buddy includes gas and electric, which let's just say is $100 a piece, right? I don't know the actual numbers, but cost them each $100 a month, right? So that's $1,100. If he includes those, he'll get $1,300. So he always includes it to get the extra money. Why not? So, it goes to the sense of, hey, let's build this, let's wean people, let's do the right thing. But and it would create more jobs for people to have to like constantly do this type of thing. And the problem is America's not an honest country, right? If you make more money, you'll never tell anybody about it. Don't get me wrong, years from now, right, when all the fucking cash goes away, that'll change everything, right? I think there's gonna be a point where everything gets tracked on every dollar.
If they
you
can
ever have.
track it, they'll find a way to take it.
Correct.
And I'm not the type of person that sits there and is like, well, I have a problem with that. I mean, if I sell something,
Mhm.
then I understand that, there's a cost to do business and that is a tax.
But and there's going to be, I believe there's going to be a day. Michigan, we have a 10-cent bottle return. Right?
Mhm.
There's going to be a day where that bottle return automatically gets deposited, and you will be taxed on that income, even though you've already paid for
I mean,
it.
that's a good possibility.
Right. So like you have to scan your card or something, right? And it'll get loaded. And that way every dime is tracked. Every dime, right?
When you look at European nations, there's a whole lot less bottle trash than there is in this country
Mhm.
because they pay you to bring it back.
Mhm.
There's a lot less in Michigan than there is in all of the neighboring states
Mhm.
because they pay you 10 cents to bring it back. Now, true, you paid them the 10 cents.
I did. Upfront.
So you have to figure out whether it's worth it to you to take that back for 10 cents. Now, it's always worth it to me.
Yep.
It's not to you. That's not saying you throw it away.
Right.
You throw it in the garage, and when somebody's doing a fundraiser for,
Donate it. Yeah.
Jennison cheerleading, hey, Jennison cheerleading is collecting your pop cans. You'll post, hey, here's my address. I got a shit ton in the garage. Come get it.
Yeah. And I say I don't know. Is there other countries you can go to? Yes. Right now, the ability to get into those countries, I don't know. Right.
Yeah, I don't know if they want us.
Nobody wants us. I mean, I've gone to other countries, right? Not very many. I'm not a world traveler, but in other places I've gone, they hate Americans,
Mhm.
right? We're snobby.
Absolutely.
We're pompous. We have egos, right? We think that the world revolves around
We have a
us,
shitty attitude.
right? It blows my mind the amount of people that think just because you go to Mexico that they all have to speak English.
Yeah.
So what the fuck did you just say? Like you go to Europe and you think they have to speak English to you? Oh, what? No, like don't get me wrong. If I ever go, like I'm just gonna Google Translate. I don't know these languages. Sure, should I take the ability to learn it? But like I'm gonna try, right?
I wish I would have learned Polish when my grandmother was trying to teach it to me. I wish I would have paid better attention in French and Spanish class.
Yep.
I didn't think it was a big deal because, again, I was a pompous American that when everybody speaks English, so I don't really give a fuck.
Yep.
It was a horrible attitude.
Yep. And so, I don't know. I always go there, and it's funny. I mean, I'll wear like a Detroit thing or something like that, and that's what people know. But normally, I try not to. I try not to sit here and say, "Hey," because I know that I get treated completely different,
Mhm.
and they rip you off a heck of a lot more when they know that you're American, because they're not going to let you get away with anything
No.
because they know that you're spend, and you'll haggle. Yeah, I say, I know that what we have isn't great, but I know it could be a hell of a lot worse.
It could be a hell of a lot better.
Mhm.
And I think that's what pisses me off the most
Mhm.
is it could be better, but there's no money in making it better.
But that's exactly it. And I told my wife, she's like, "Why are you going for school board?" And I was like, "Why? Because I believe if you're going to bitch about it, you have to be willing to do something about it."
Mhm.
And I am willing to do something about it, whether I get the opportunity or not, but I'm willing to at least make the effort.
So, I mean, we've talked before. My attitude was shaped by Carlin.
Mhm.
There's only one area that I don't agree with Carlin in, and it's the voting thing. So he always said, listen, the shit you do every 4 years is worthless because this country was bought and sold 4 years ago.
Correct.
And you and I aren't in the club.
Mhm.
He's not wrong. But if you don't, and he would say, I feel if you vote, you have no right to complain because you voted for a criminal cocksucker that went in there and didn't care about you. Whereas on election day, I stayed home and I didn't do any of this. So I have no responsibility whatsoever for the bullshit that these people are doing. And I can't get on board with that. Like I was there with him for a little while, and I'm like, yeah, but again, just sitting here and doing nothing isn't fixing shit either. So I didn't vote in the 2000 election. Didn't give a fuck about Gore or Bush. Wasn't moved. Felt it was just a fucking waste of time.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's not a waste of time now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to waste my vote either. I'm going to vote for something.
We'll see. And then, I don't feel like my vote is wasted because I've never missed an election, no matter what, right? Like it's weird. I don't know what, like my pride's gotten so much better. Like I was very proud to go when I was like 18 or whatever it was and be able to do my first. And then I started diving in more and more and learning things and doing things. And trust me, it's funny because like I'm the first one to fucking vote down all of these. Godwin is a prime example. Okay. That school softball team, sure, we've given them a new field, but like, what was wrong with the old field?
Could it have been fixed? Sure.
It could have been, right. But like,
What
now,
was wrong with it is it wasn't a field. It was just an open land.
yeah, but I mean, it had like, they weren't, it's not like we were a great team and a better field wasn't going to make us better.
Well, and the worst part is now they don't even have a team.
Correct. Right. So now
You could have just put an actual fence out there and it would have been good enough.
now let's just say per property, I'm paying $182 or whatever it is for no team. Right. And you know, I get, hey, if you build it, they'll do whatever, but like, show me that it's worth it, right? Like, show me that my money's going towards something. Like, we're voting to build. We built a new library, right? And it's a great library, but like, we had one. Okay, why couldn't we expand? Why couldn't we do something? And so, I mean, I vote so much to, you know, the only time I've ever asked my wife to vote one specific way was because I felt she didn't understand the ramifications of what it would do to somebody like me, right? And basically all it was a tax on landlords. So if you owned a rental property in Jenison, they just wanted to tax us more. That's all it was, right? That we want higher taxes for these people because they wanted to force home ownership there. And that's plain and simple what it was. And I told her, I was like, look, I've never asked you. All I can do is ask. I can't force her, right? And I was like, this is the one thing I'm going to ask you not to do, right? Because it literally just hurts me as a business owner.
Well, when you look at a lot of these suburbs of Grand Rapids, all of them look down at Kentwood because they call it Rentwood. Yeah, and they don't want rentals in their communities. Byron Center is the same way. They wanted to build a apartment complex out by where the Speedway is near the M6. And people fought it like crazy because they didn't want to bring those type of people here. What type exactly is that? Renters.
Yeah.
Because they're a lesser quality person. And you know what? Maybe that was a thing at one time, but renters now are people that literally don't have a down payment for a home or can't qualify to get one.
Yep.
They're not necessarily any worse than anybody else. They're millennials that just don't make enough money or Gen Z starting out.
Or, you know, and it's funny that you look at it that way, right? And I look at it as a person who is starting out and trying to figure out where they want to be, what you want to do.
Yeah, there's some of that too.
If I knew now what I knew back then, if I knew back then what I know now, and I'm not married, and I'm in the spot I'm in right now, I can't promise you I'm here right now. I didn't realize how much I hated the cold. Like, I mean, dude, we've dropped 2 degrees since I've been here and the heat's on. Okay.
The heat's not on here.
Oh, okay.
Dawn shut it off for our episode because she knows we get hot.
Yeah. I was like, it's say 3 degrees. It just dropped another fucking one, but it's fucking cold, right? Now, had I been renting, if I was, granted, I got married at 21, but like, if I'm an 18-year-old and didn't live at home and do all, like, if I had just, I'd probably go rent and be like, hey, all right, I'm in this field, I can go, and I traveled and I had enough money, like, I might end up with a fucking warehouse job somewhere else, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't promise you that everybody that's renting, I mean, you know, there's people that rent forever type thing, and then there's people who and it's funny because I look at renting as as 2 people, right? One, you're the kind of person that wants a new house every couple of years, right? Just like you want a new car, right? And 2, you're just not sure about where you want to be and what you're going to be doing, right? Because like, you know, military people that come here or whatever, right? I mean, I have a buddy who Michigan, Ohio, back to Michigan, and you know, but it's like, why buy, right? He buys everywhere, and then just get, you know, he's gotten lucky to be able to sell the houses and stuff like that, but you know, there's the ability, like, if your job, I mean, you work remote, if you had the ability,
if my mother was not in the picture,
right,
I probably would not be in Michigan.
Correct, right? Like, so that's the type of person that should be renting in this
and that's why Dawn and I keep going back and forth on do we want to stay in this country?
Right.
Because it's not all fucking sunshine and rainbows.
I mean, it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows anywhere you go. It could be better, sure, but I don't think any place is perfect.
No place is perfect,
Correct.
but it could definitely be better.
And I say,
And again, like you, I hate the cold. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
Because even Dawn said at one point, she's like, "Well, if we go to Europe," I'm like, "It's fucking cold there too.
Yep.
They have the same winters we have." And she's like, "Oh,
they're not as bad.
okay, but it's still in the northern hemisphere.
Oh gosh, yes.
You're not getting away from snow."
I say, I mean, I have to. Yeah, I don't think you're getting away from snow in any part of Europe. But,
No,
but you know,
maybe the south of France or
Right, that's what
maybe
I
the south of Italy.
right,
Or
the boot of Italy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming they get snow though.
I would assume some.
But right, it is. So that's the renters to me. Like in my head, it's like, hey, you're just. It's funny because like most of my people stay for 8 years on average, kind of a thing. But I always look at it as a stepping stone to get to the.
But
next
you make
spot.
it attractive for them to stay.
I do.
Many landlords do not.
Correct. Right, because they're going to get more money. But
Right,
they will, and they will in the down economy, right?
right, but they're not in an up economy.
Correct. So, we're hoping next week we have a guest.
Yeah, we're hoping to have Joe on next week and we can
dive
talk
in more.
about election type stuff.
Yeah, I say because
Love having Joe.
I think I'm going to need a little help with this.
I think you are
And,
too.
I say see if I can't get him to give me a hand with that. Bud Light, thanks. It was good. And
Outside was delicious.
that's a great beer.
It is.
As always, guys, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back next week.
You've dialed in.
To Bucks and Brews, you might hear something
You can use.
like tips on your cash or tips on the suds.
You're gonna want to
The
use.
smarts of these
Because
stuff.
they know the brews.
And they know the Bucks, and they know they can't help the stubborn fucks.
So listen up, because shit's not funny.
And save yourself some
Beer money. Bucks.
and brews.
Bucks and
Bucks
Brews.
and brews.
Brews.
Bucks and Brews.